This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the Journey Step-by-Step Christian Podcast, and I'm your host, Karyn Beach.
So many things are going wrong. Yeah. But these trials come to only make you strong. The Father really needs you to keep holding on. Yeah. And keep a praise on your lips, 'cause it won't be
Aren't you glad in it? I know you are. I know I am glad in it. If you like that, and I know you did, listen to the end, and we're going to play the whole thing, not just a snippet, but the whole thing. And as you all know, if you've listened to the show before, you know I love music. I love all types of music and musicians. And I'm not a groupie. No, this is not that show. But I do love the fact that God really gives people that talent and that ability to share music. Music is throughout the Bible. And, you know, God says to make a joyful noise, and then he gives people the ability to do that. And I think that that is just amazing. If you think about the role that music plays in your life, the emotion that comes when you hear certain songs, when you think of the way that it allows you to deepen your praise and worship. Music is just awesome. I mean, my mom died when I was 15, and to this day, and I'm 51, I cannot listen to the song Purple Rain because I had a dream after my mother died, and it said, in the dream, I was at her grave, and it said, I never wanted to cause you any sorrow. I never wanted to cause you any pain. I only wanted one time to see you laughing. I wanted to see you laughing in the purple rain. And that pretty much did it for me. Now, every time a song comes on, I'm like, no, talk amongst yourselves.
Right. Next song.
It's too much. It's too much. But music does have that ability to help us connect. And what better way to praise and worship is to use music to connect to the Creator, to the one that makes everything possible. So we're going to talk to Chris Bender, and we're going to talk about his journey to making praise and worship music and to what that means to him. And then, as I promised you, we're going to end with that song. We're going to play the whole thing. I gave you a snippet, a taste. Just think, I could be standing outside of the yogurt shop, and you get that little tasty yogurt. And then you say, oh, I like that. I like that yogurt. I'm going to go back and get me the whole waffle cone full of that yogurt. See, I gave you the taste, but we're going to end with the waffle cone. Okay, we're going to end with the waffle cone. So I'm...
It's a good analogy. You sound like a preacher.
Well, no. So just like you, I like to throw it out there, throw the reel out there, and then bring it back in. So you got the taste, but we're gonna leave you with the waffle cone. I'm just saying. And who doesn't? And like music, everyone likes music. Who doesn't like a waffle cone full of yogurt? Whatever kind of yogurt you want. Everybody wants a waffle cone. Isn't that right, Chris?
You know what? In these days, after 20, I started, I can't mess with ice cream no more. So, I done moved over to sherbet,
You moved over to sherbet. Okay. But something coming out of that little fountain.
Oh my, what a word.
Yeah, see, I can't preach, but I'm a foodie. I can talk about food to know.
Karen, listen, preaching is all about finding what you love and delivering the message about what you love. Preachers love Jesus. They like delivering the message about Jesus. So
Right. And I can deliver the message about Jesus and I can let you know. And when I'm finished here, I'm gonna make me some teriyaki salmon
go for it.
with a side of what is that? I can't even think. This is where the 51 with the side of shrimp. Yes, I am. And some nice vegetables. Yes, for dinner. Why? Because God is good.
You got your word down. You got your word down, Pack says. I ain't even mad.
God is good. He's going to give us some teriyaki salmon and shrimp with some vegetables. And I said it. Yes, I did. So I can take the food and put it around God because God is the one that gave me that shrimp. He gave me that salmon.
Yes, he did. Yes,
and the vegetables, or as we say in Spanish, los vegetales. See? Because
now you're international.
We went and brought it in another language. So if I had a mic right now, I could drop it.
You could, yeah.
I could drop the mic. Now, this is what's going to happen. Chris is going to go back to Lamar, his manager who sets all this stuff up, and going to be like, why did you have me talking to this podcast girl who was talking about waffle cones and teriyaki salmon?
Well, listen, I'm with it because I gets the clowning. So it's okay.
Because next time he has a song come out, he's gonna be like, "Don't put me on the Teriyaki Salmon podcast."
Don't do it, please.
This is what happens when you record a podcast before you've had dinner. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say about that. You get all this food talk, but I'm not just gonna talk about food. I'm gonna talk to you, Chris, about I'm always wondering, how does someone choose gospel or faith-based music? Because there's so much out there, that talks. There's so many different types of music, and you could really go any way with it.
Yeah.
But what makes you say, I want to do faith-based music?
Well, for a fact, I know that before I chose faith-based music, I chose faith. And so I, at the age of 7, devoted my life to, walking with Jesus and, developing and learning his ways and learning who he is and understanding, the mind of God as the most as I can, to be an individual, not to be a superstar, to be famous. Like even to this very moment, that's not my desire. I just always wanted to be able to leave an impact, make an impact, and be impactful in everything that I did, whatever it was that I was going to do. I didn't even want to sing when I first started. When I first started out, with, my Christian journey, like I wanted to be a lawyer, and that was my goal. Even up until freshman year of high school, I was always gifted to sing. I had been singing since I was a child, literally 2 years old. There's video recordings of me singing Shoot Doobie Doo by Whitney Houston. I've been doing this for a long time, but that wasn't my desire. I wanted to be able to impact another industry. But, of course, with choosing God, he in return chooses you. And sometimes he chooses certain things for you that you don't want to do, but you kind of commit to them because you're committed to him. So, yeah.
Okay. I wanted to be a lawyer until I got into my second year of college. And then I took some law classes, and I was like, yeah,
don't it make you turn around and run away? It's like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, it looked good when I was watching it on TV, when I could go, or I could be the one going, you're out of order. This whole process is out of order. But then you find out you're really just reading fine print in a lot of documents. And I was like, yeah.
It's not as law and orderish as they make it seem.
Yeah, because in my mind, there would be a doom doom every once in a while that would happen. And then, no, it's not that. But it is.
Big books and long study hours, not really.
Yeah, yeah. And less Jack Nicholson on the stand moments. And that's what I wanted, Jack Nicholson on the stand. But, so you're in the business. Is it everything you thought it would be?
One more time. No. And I'm thankful that it is not everything that I thought.
Okay, so what did you think it was going to be?
I thought, I've always been a very mature guy, right? Very mature, and I've always been wise beyond my years, right? But I did expect, right? I expected for my first song to be a hit, and for me to just be traveling the world and living lavishly, and never having to want for anything, and being signed to a record label and all that on my first song, and with very little experience, just a really good ear and a song from God and all this good stuff. And so I also expected, you in different industries, right? You start experiencing a different, just stuff is just different. The rap industry is different than the R&B industry. The R&B industry is different than the rock industry, and all of them are completely different than the gospel industry, because the gospel industry is so small. It's almost like, Bible says that the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. It feels like, right? Sometimes that's the complete opposite way. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, where is the work? Where is the ability to move around and succeed in this? Because it seems like it's more people than it is opportunities. But that's not even the case. The older that I got, I started to learn more about it. But yeah, going back to, I don't want to veer off too far from the question. I thought that this would be, I never thought it would be easy, because I always love challenges, but I did think that it would move a lot faster than it did. Definitely. I definitely did. I had released, 2 songs, a song and 2 features prior to ever placing on billboards or even getting recognized by, any large aggregation. And even actually, it was like 2 or 3 years after I released my first song that I got an award for that song. I released More of You in 2017 and got an award in 2019 for the song. So it's like, it's so weird. There's not really I tell people all the time, especially those that I mentor, that it's not really a recipe to this. You got to just kind of be led by God and honestly do what your heart feels, and make sure that you're not living or working in the industry to please people, because people are very wayward. And sometimes you just don't win their satisfaction. You will never. And if your intentions are not in the right place, you'll be very disappointed, and it will probably push you into a space of not wanting to do this. So yeah, that is definitely some of the very key point things that I thought was going to happen, or I thought it was going to be. But I'm really glad that it wasn't, because I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about humility, and I thought I had a truckload when I got into the industry. Oh, I only knew that I needed a country load to actually sustain myself.
Tell me a story about what you learned about yourself.
Okay, so there was a time ago where I had encountered a very well-known artist, right? They'll remain nameless, for the sake of my career.
You did say it's a small industry.
Howsoever, I encountered this artist, and it was like one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. It was awful, and I never forget leaving the venue that we had encountered each other at, and just really being stunned by that. And it was so bad to the point where my mother, actually, because I'm an only child. And
me too. Yay!
But my mom was real hood, and she crazy, so you can't do nothing to her baby. My mom, this is a very exclusive piece of information. My mother inboxed this celebrity on Facebook and left a very aggressive message. And I really, after that, I was like, okay, yeah, being a gospel artist is really it's out of the water now. I can't be this. Like, I'm done. My name is Black. I'm being blacklisted now because my mother can't keep her composure. But yeah, say all that to say, I learned from that experience, right, that there was and this was even before I really started walking into artistry. I learned that there always has to be a level of personality or relativeness, if you will, to who you are as an artist when you're looking to have the support and the respect for people. This is a people-driven industry. It's a people-driven business as well. And if they don't like you, they're not going to support you. If they don't support you, you're not going to win as much as you think you will. You might have the support of your peers, but you won't have the support of the people. And that is what matters the most. If your music is not, if your music is not being infiltrated through schools and radio stations and cars and grocery stores and cookouts and family reunions, it's like, what's the point? What are you doing this for? Because if you wanted to do something for the elite, you should have just called them together in a small room and kind of just had an elite gathering for the elite. But because this is meant for the people, it's always my number one goal to ensure that they feel me. You know, they feel that I'm here, I'm with you. I might not always be as reachable or attainable, but I am with you. I'm just like the rest of y'all, right? I just
because Jesus was a servant leader.
Absolutely.
He was not, I'm Jesus. So, he got down on his knees and washed feet. And told them, this is what you're going to have to do if you want to be like me. And a lot of people forget that. And, you think it's all about your big car, you want to act a certain way to people. But you have to remember that you are people just like those people.
Absolutely.
And that by the grace of God, you're where you are. Just like by the grace of God, they're where they are.
And just because you have an assignment, it doesn't mean that you are at a different tier or level than the rest. You know what I'm saying? Like you are still flawed. You are still imperfect. And you probably still make some of the mistakes that those that are without the same assignment that you have do have to experience from a day-to-day basis. And you have to experience, sometimes I had to experience having those normal days to even humble me more than what I already was. And I'm a really humble guy. I don't even like talking about how humble I am because I feel like it is oppositional to being humble, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, that's how humble I am. I don't even like talking about being humble because I'm that humble. But yeah, it's like, I've had to experience those days. And the truth of the matter is, even those that are like up there, tier A, tier B, tier C, have those days, but it's all about perspective. And if you see yourself as great and mighty and more than what you actually are, it's going to be the plague of what people experience.
If you think that you're mighty, or it's been because I've always had a strong personality.
Nothing wrong with it. Trust
but me. I've always had people around me that want to be yes people. And that you can't be too full of yourself, but you can't have people around you that let you be too full of yourself.
Yeah. And I mean,
you have to have people. I mean, my best friend will tell me in a minute, okay, you were kind of wrong there. You were kind of over the top. And I respect her for that. I don't need someone around me saying, oh, well, yours is so great and this, that, and the other, because none of us are that great. And I think that you need to be humble, and you need to have people around you that keep you humble by keeping you honest and keeping you truthful.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And I think that helps you. It even helps you in being able to deliver as an artist too, because the art of being an artist is about experience, and you're able to perform or minister, if you're in my specific parameters, you know what I'm saying? You're able to minister from a greater place of experience when you've been exposed, right, to the multiple vicissitudes of life. You get to understand the hurt. You get to understand being humbled. You get to understand almost getting, jumping and getting into a fight. You know what I'm saying? You get to understand the many caveats that come along with life when you live it.
When you live it, and then too,
you got to live life, yo. Got to.
Because I'm a writer,
Okay.
but you have to not only be humble, but being humble allows you to be vulnerable. And to be vulnerable is what you need. Musically, when it comes to writing, when you're vulnerable, you're letting people see who you really are.
Yeah. And now there is a challenge with that too, because so I really empathize with artists at times, you know what I'm saying? Because I understand that there's a level, you know what I'm saying? There's certain levels. So there's a level of, okay, I need to be vulnerable, but if I'm too vulnerable, the people will manipulate that and they'll get more out of me than what I'm actually supposed to give them. So it's just so many different challenges that come along with it. And this is why, for me, it's very much so important to stay in line with God and to, be able to discern, what experiences require what out of me and what don't. There's some things that just honestly don't even require a response. Like I can't say anything, because if I do, I'm going to be giving at most something that I wasn't even supposed to think about.
Yeah.
So it's important to discern and be able to sense and feel what it is that God would have for you to be or to do or to say or to exude or behave like, in those experiences. It's really, really crucial.
And it comes down to having that wisdom.
Yeah.
And, when Solomon, who could have asked for anything, God was like, all right, what do you want? And he said, wisdom. You've given me so much. And for me to lead these people, I need wisdom. And because he asked for wisdom, he got everything else. But the first thing he asked for wasn't everything else. It was, okay, I need the ability to discern, to be wise, and to use what I have. And I think as a musician, as a writer and podcaster, people are depending on you to have that power of discernment, to have that wisdom, because if you don't have that, you could be leading people in a whole wrong direction.
That's so true. That's so true.
You can really do a lot of damage.
One of the biggest reasons why I didn't want to take on, because there was a time, honestly, where I wrestled with this whole being an artist and running a Christian business and all this good stuff, because I did not, listen to me, Karyn, I did not want to be responsible for people. I just didn't. I just didn't want it. I felt like that load was just too heavy for me at the time. And I felt, thinking about how I do things, I learned a very long time ago that people are hard-headed, and when you're given the charge to lead people, and sometimes it's very uncomfortable. I've been in this role of leadership for God, like maybe almost 10 years now. And it's something that now I take with grace because I know that I have the grace to actually succeed in this. However, you run into a lot, and it's also very, going through those first experiences, like seeing or experiencing somebody that has been purposed to be led by you make a decision that you told them not to make, and now they're looking at the repercussions to that terrible decision, and you're like, well, now I have to lead you out of this when I didn't have to if you would have just listened. So it comes with so much territory that must be covered. You can't be oblivious to this stuff, because if you do, something will be missing, and if something becomes missing, you will lose, right? You'll lose. You'll either lose something, you'll lose somebody, and no one is to be lost. That's my mantra. No soul lost. And it's also one of the biggest blessings of doing this too. I pride myself in ensuring that everybody's good. Whether it's a hard conversation, a good conversation, whether we're laughing, or whether I'm telling you about yourself, because I do that a lot. whatever, and whatever the aspect of, relationship is in that time being, it's always a blessing to know that my goal is something that is not just beneficial to me, but it's beneficial to people around me. And it's one of the most selfless things that I can appreciate, that is very similar to what Jesus did. I'm just trying to be like him.
Right. And when you're like Jesus, you have to exude that kind of patience, because it's a patient of a leader, a manager, it's a patient of a parent who sees somebody going down the wrong road, and you can see them and you can tell them, don't do this, or this is going to be the bad outcome, but they need to come to that themselves.
They have to experience it, and
And
sometimes
you can be there like, I thought I told you not to do this. But
right.
they have to come to that on their own. And your challenge as a leader is to allow people to do that. Give them the grace to fall and help them back up with a hand, and not use that hand to point and wag a finger, because that is not what God does for us.
Exactly.
God, we fall down every day, and God is there to help us back up. I told you not to do that. Or, I did a blog about the prodigal son. I was talking about the prodigal, his brother who didn't do anything wrong, and the father. And when he asked his father for the money, I want my inheritance now. I don't want to wait till you die. I want it now.
Right.
You gotta wonder, because being a father, your kids. Yeah. If I asked my father for a bunch of money right now, he knows I'd waste it.
If you're connected spiritually, there's just no way that you can get around like being in some way, shape, or form exposed to the person you're connected to. They're gonna see. They're gonna see.
And so as the father, you're my son. I want you to be happy, but I know you're gonna mess this up because I know you. I gave birth to you. I know you. And you have to wonder what he was thinking when he gave him that money. He knew he was going to go wasting on a bunch of prostitutes and drinking, but he gave it to him anyway, because he had to come to that decision to come back home and do the right thing. He had to go through everything he went through to go to that. And as a father, all you can do is what he did. Welcome him back home. Okay, this is, you're back home. I'm happy. Instead of, chastising him or punishing him. And that, to me, is a good example of what a leader is. Because a leader is somebody who can look at somebody's faults and not necessarily hold it against him.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. That is so true.
So tell me about your song.
So, this is Karyn. This is my baby, right? Like all the other ones are my children, right? But this song is like, I'm trying to lift my arms up high enough so you can see where it sits in my life. Like, this is my child. I really I love this song, right? Glad in It is a tune that the Lord gave me straight from the table of heaven, right? So I was actually at church when I received the inspiration for the lyrical content in the arrangement of the song. Let's see, I was at a church in Boston because I'm a Boston native, and so
I'm sorry.
There. Yeah. No, what? Hold up. Wait a minute. Not so. No, but so I had received the inspiration to write the song while in church. I'll never forget it. It was like yesterday. I was a guest minister of music. I was a guest minister of music at a church for their Sunday morning experience. And I finished singing, sat down, and I was in a very complex place in my life. Like, I was super depressed. I was fighting PTSD. Anxiety was like, I have never, I think, well, I've experienced some in past times, but this was a very great deal of anxiety, a lot of persecution and just like, ugh. And so I'm sitting in this church and I start hearing the lyrics to the song, right? And so I'm sitting there literally just like, boom, I get my cell phone because that's always my first, my first like go-to is to grab my phone and I'm just getting ready to swipe. And before I swing my finger up, I hear the enemy wants you to quit, wants you to throw in the towel and say this is it. And so I'm like, wait. That's too good. It's too good. And I didn't write that. I haven't written that before. Like, where is this coming from? What is this? So I'm sitting there still. I'm trying to keep my composure because I don't want to act crazy because now the preacher is up. It's very quiet. Like those first 10 minutes of the preacher getting up are like really like setting the scene. And so you kind of need to do everything that you got to do before that so that you don't interrupt the moment. And so I'm trying, right? I'm trying my hardest. But then I also know, right, that I forget stuff. Like my brain is like water. Like I pretty much almost forgot that I had to do this interview until I was like, Chris, stop, think. You have something to do at 6. Don't forget. So I'm like, Chris, you can't lose this song. Whatever this is supposed to change the world. And I felt that really strong. I felt like a global burden on my heart for whatever was in me. So I jumped up, ran outside, like, okay, people are like, is he all right? Is there something wrong? No, I'm fine. Leave me alone. Ran outside and like outside in the middle of the street with my voice memo, just singing, I will be glad in it. So it was a very impactful moment for me because that song was literally completely the opposite of where I was in my life. It just was not, I was not in any way, in any shape, any form glad. I was almost the heaviest that I had ever been. I gained some 55 to 60 pounds. My health was like weird. I had found out that I had like this weird B12 deficiency and they were like, you got to take shots and I hate needles. And I was going insane. My family was in an uproar. My grandmother had been diagnosed with lung cancer. Like there was so much. Oh my God. I can almost cry thinking about it. There was so much going on in my life that just literally had it had inebriated my ability to feel hopeful or positive or optimistic about anything that was going on. And I almost, to be completely honest, don't think I felt like there was, I didn't see God in that. I was just so afflicted by what was going on that I couldn't even see what he was trying to do through me, right? So write the song, begin to perform the song and sing the song. And immediately I sung the song for the first time in September of 2019, and it has taken over the hearts of everyone that hears it. And so now I sit today, grandma don't got cancer. I'm down like 35 pounds. My health is well. My mind is well. PTSD is like under control. Anxiety, get out the door. Depression, who are you? I'm good. God is good, and glad it has impacted the world. So I've learned, I posted this on Facebook earlier. I learned that sometimes you got to take a lot of hits while God is trying to give you a hit as an artist and as a writer. And so, today I'm really grateful. And these days have been so bright because I have a better understanding of my purpose. And I know that I have to experience some very wilderness-like things, right, in order to birth out of me what the world needs for their good and for my benefit as well. So, yeah, to God be the glory for the things he's done. Glad it is my baby, and I love it to pieces.
So let's go ahead and hear it right now. Thank you so much, Chris Bender, for coming by my little show. You are one of the reasons that people's journeys, because the show is called The Journey, because that's what we all live through. But as an artist, as a musician, you make people's journeys bearable. You give them songs and information that relates to them on a personal level. And that's the relationship we have with God. It's personal. Yeah. And so he uses, I think, musicians to speak to people, to speak his words to people, the words not only that you need to hear, but that we all need to hear. So let's go ahead right now. Thank you, Chris Bender.
Love you, Karyn. Thank you, love.
Let's be glad in it.
so many of us are going through. Your burdens get so heavy, you don't know what to do. But I've been sent on assignment to encourage you. You can't give up now, you have so much to do. Wants you to throw in the towel. Oh, but I've been sent to remind you your help is here today. Whenever you feel like pressure, here's what you gotta say. Yeah, that's it. Come on, let's go. I will be glad. I will be glad. Yeah. Oh, come on, put your hands on it. I will be glad. Let's go to verse 2. He gave it to me like this. So many things are going wrong. Yeah. But these trials come to only make you strong. The Father really needs you to keep holding on. Yeah. And keep a praise on your lips, 'cause it won't be long. The enemy wants you to quit. He wants you to quit tonight. Listen. Wants you to throw in the towel. Oh, yeah. But I've been sent to remind you your help is here today. Whenever you get in trouble, here's what you gotta say. Yeah, I will be glad. Oh, come on, I need to see you move. I will be glad. Yeah. Yeah, I will be glad. Come on, let's say it one more time. I will be glad. Nothing compares to my joy. I will be glad. I got the joy of the Lord. I will be glad. Yeah, I will be glad. Right here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody close. We declare tonight, we say, even on a bad day, I will. Even on a bad day, I will. You say, even on a bad day, everybody say, yeah, this storm, it will last forever. Saying this trial, it's got to come to an end. Everybody rock, come on. Everybody rock, come on. Yeah, we've been made endure for a night. Whoa, but joy, it's gonna come in the morning. It's gonna come in the morning.
Until next time, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go.